This is a Channel Africa podcast. You can also get Channel Africa on satellite, PAS10, DSTV Audio Bouquet 802, and OpenView Bouquet, Channel 628.
Now, today marks the last day of the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium 2024. The symposium is intended to shape the conversations about regulatory and policy reforms, innovate funding models for infrastructure and investing in infrastructure for a shared prosperity for all. To talk to us about this, we joined this afternoon by President of the South African Council for the Project and Construction Management Professionals, Lufuno Ratsiku. A very good afternoon to you. Great to have you on Africa in Business today.
Afternoon, Tammy, and thank you for having us.
Now, as the final day of the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium 2024 takes place, could you perhaps share with us some of the insights on your attendance and your participation at the event?
Thank you so much. So the key indicators of what the symposium is coming out with is the commitment by government led by the Infrastructure South Africa, and the DPWI, which is the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. That commitment entails, one, release of projects that are meaningful to the economy, that are not going to be disrupted as historically seen with what would have been referred as construction mafia. And secondly, to have projects that have reached financial flows, meaning that they are no longer bottlenecks of funding those projects. Which are those projects? Part of them are the strategic integrated projects referred to SIPs that are clustered and moving across, ranging from water, energy, social housing, and so forth. So it's a good indication of the projects that are going to be able to push the economy forward.
So has this seminar and the symposium influenced infrastructure policy and regulations in any way?
The good thing about it is that the government is committed to compliance more than before by all signs and intents and purposes. And our role as the SACPCMP, led by myself here, is to ensure that professional, correct, registered individuals are involved in the execution of projects, accredited individuals who are competent, so as to oppose the involvement of non-professionals in a space that requires very technical skills. So there's a good indication that correct stakeholders, correct skills are going to be involved in this sensitive project so that we can move out on complications such as load shedding and water struggles.
And how are you going to tackle this problem, Mr. Ratsiku? Because it's a mammoth problem that the country is facing. Instances where contractors are appointed, but they just don't do what they're supposed to do. They either don't have the qualifications or whatever the case may be, but the work that they produce is shoddy and has to be redone. And that obviously adds extra pressure on the public purse.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So from professional and regulatory bodies perspective, our role is to monitor that when these projects are at a procurement phase, getting ready to be advertised for the contractors to be involved and the professionals to be involved, the evaluation criteria of the procurement requirements are compliant. Number one, are calling for companies that have proven to have done this before, the professional services as well, companies that are credible, registered professionals, qualified professionals. To an extent that some of these tenders we are advising the minister and the stakeholders involved, that some of them will have to return back if they are not structured correctly in order for competent people to get involved.
What about subcontracting? Because that's also quite a common practice in the industry, where a contractor or an individual would get the actual tender, but they don't do the work themselves. They subcontract it, to other contractors and other service providers. And ultimately, who then is to be held liable?
Yeah, so the good thing is that the direction that is being taken is that which will be referred to as a turnkey, where the responsibility is centralized to one contractor who will be accountable, including to the portion of performance of the subcontractor. So it's no longer going to be a question of it doesn't matter what the subcontractor does, because the accountability is going to sit with the main awarded contractor to a point where it affects the credibility of their businesses. The points are going to go down in terms of their rating when they compete for the next work. So everybody will have something to lose as much as everybody will have something to gain.
We're going to wrap it up here. Mr. Ratsiku, for today, but I'm sure there's so much to unpack, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you. You're most welcome.
Thank you so much. That's the President of the South African Council for the Project and Construction Management Professionals, Lufuno Ratsiku. And today is the last day of the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium 2024.
That podcast was courtesy of Channel Africa, the African Perspective.